Hey everyone, so welcome back to my channel. If you're new, my name's Teresa. I do a lot of theater related videos, childcare related videos, braces related videos, which there will be more of those coming out as I am nearing my journey with braces. So if any of that interests you, I also do videos like in between about like being a lesbian, and I've done a couple mukbangs just because I'm bored and hungry and I need a YouTube video. So if any of that interests you, be sure to hit the subscribe button down below and hit the bell for notifications so you know whenever I put up a new video. I post every single weekend. And so this is today's video. So as you guys know, if you guys watched, I think my last video or maybe like two videos before that, I honestly don't know. But I did mention that I went back into childcare after taking a little bit of a break from not doing childcare anymore. And so I am working with a family regularly. I am part time and I'm working every single weekday and not the weekends and stuff. So I all of a sudden this week started questioning the legal side of being a nanny and being like a freelance nanny and stuff like that because what people don't know is when they hire a household employee, meaning a gardener, house cleaner, dog sitter, dog walker, um, a nanny, things of that nature that is any type of work that is done within the house, a lot of people do not see that as a legal job. So oftentimes these people, which is a wide range of people, are not being taken legally, such as with taxes and discrimination and stuff like that. And so I've kind of started doing research on all of this stuff. And the first thing was taxes. So what I found out about taxes, and I'm gonna pull up what I found to make sure I get the information correct. So I pulled out a couple of things here. This should be I also looked into like employee rights. So again, when people hire their household employee, they do not always realize that they become an employer, right? And so that means, as somebody who has a business degree, who has a background in human resources, accounting, those two things really do play into when a family hires somebody to do work around the house. You have to know how to properly do payroll. You have to know how to be a human resource manager. And that's a really hard one as I am taking that class right now. And there's so many things you need to consider and look at. And so those two things really do play into being an employer. Um, so with that, with human resources too, you also have to know discrimination and that people can sue you if you discriminate in any way because any employer is accountable for discrimination that violates the Title 7, Title 8, Title 7, whatever is the V11, two line, whatever number that is. Civil Rights Act, Title 7, I want to say. Um, you can, get in a lot of trouble if you discriminate. So, um, so the first thing I really looked into was taxes. So now with taxes, it depends on your state. However, I am in North Dakota, which means you have to pay for Social Security, Medicare, and there was another one, like one or two other ones that you have to do as well. You can look it up specifically to your state. Just look up your state and then do um, there's a website that I'm on. It's nanny.org, and it'll allow you to just look up by your state what the requirements are. Um, so yeah, the first thing was taxes. And so the main thing that I wanted to know was, do we have to pay taxes? The answer is yes, regardless if you are a part-time nanny or a full-time nanny, you need to pay taxes. This does not apply to a babysitter who comes to your house a couple times a week just for date nights or anything like that. This applies to a person who is making $2,200 per year. If you're making that much money or more than that, of that $2,200 a year, then you have to pay taxes, period. Doesn't matter if you're full-time, doesn't matter if you're part-time, you have to do your taxes. Luckily for nannies, care.com is actually a really great resource to do taxes. It looks really easy and simple. And so you want to make sure that you are not being paid under the table, so to speak, which many people make the mistake of doing. And you miss out on a lot of opportunities when you do that. So you want to make sure you are being paid legally. So, need a little bit of water. I'm almost out. So, in another article here, it talks about um, what happens when you are being paid under the table. And again, under the table means you're not paying taxes, you're not you're not on a payroll, you're not really officially an employee. Okay, so it says here, also consider that you are. This is from nannypay.com. So this is just under knowing your rights as a nanny. And it says, also consider that you are waiving all of the protections the law offers you against discrimination and sexual harassment in the workplace. State and federal statuses prohibit employers from discriminating against you on the basis of your sex, age, race, disability, or perceived disability, national origin, etc. To note that, there are also other things that they cannot discriminate. That's why et cetera is put in there. So if they're discriminating, against pregnancy, there's actually a whole act, to protect you from that as well. There's also if you, like, served in the military and you want to nanny again, there's a law that legally protects you against that as well. There's a lot. I had to learn all of them within, like, 2 weeks of my human resources class, and so we can get into those a little bit later on, because these videos are probably gonna be, like, separate per, like, subject or whatever. So, let's see. Excuse me, by agreeing to be paid under the table, you're giving up all of these protections. So, then it kind of gives us an example here. You may have moved to the US from a different country only to find that your employer is abusing your services, not paying you as promised for hours already worked, not covering your medical expenses, or subjecting you to some form of discrimination or harassment in the workplace. None of us anticipate these issues will arise at the start of the employment relationship. However, they do arise. So it really just protects you legally when you are being paid legally. And it's not just for financials, it's for discrimination as well, and just things about the law. Um, so, yes, it also goes into overtime. Now, money is a huge thing that you just don't want to be screwed over on, as most people are full time. That's how they make their living, is by watching kids. So, you want to make sure that you are getting paid correct overtime, that you are meeting minimum wage, which is $7.28, I believe, right now in the US, or at least where I'm at, and all of that kind of good stuff. So, yes, so you definitely don't want to be being paid under the table, as you lose a lot of legal protection as well as financial stuff that can help you in the future. So, and again, if you are making $2,200 in a year or more than that, then you need to pay taxes. So this one talks about this article, back to nanny.org. It talks about pay for all hours. Um, they need to follow the FLSA, which is the Federal Fair Labor Standards Act. And that's another thing. There is labor acts out there to protect employees that everyone should look into, regardless if you are in childcare or whatever you're doing. You should really look into these laws. Um, yes, minimum wage. It talks about that. And at this time of the article, it was like $7.28. So maybe it's like $8 and something. But make sure you're being paid minimum wage, at least minimum wage. It talks about overtime pay, annual wage, and tax statements. So the W-2 forms you need to do. And it goes a lot into the IRS, and you really don't want to get in trouble with the IRS. Just saying. Proper payroll deductions. So this one talks about a 7.65% for Social Security and Medicare, income tax by agreement, employer state authorization, MISC taxes, other direct deductions such as health insurance premiums and all of that stuff. Regular payments, medical bills and lost wages due to work-related injuries. You do get injured working with kids, let me tell you. A workplace free of physical and or sexual abuse, documentation, rentation, non-retaliations, and all of that stuff. And also something that you probably want to talk to your employer about is insurance. So there's two ways people can get insurance in the world, and that's through their employer providing insurance, like paying for your insurance, or like a company paying for your insurance. So you definitely want to like talk to them about that too. And I think all of this needs to be discussed in person without the kids present. And yeah, there's a lot to discuss, but you should always talk about when talking about this kind of stuff, you should really ask, like, how long are you planning on keeping a nanny? Find that out. If it's like a year or so, start paying your taxes. Talk to them about taxes. Talk to them about the fact that they are an employer and that they need to follow these discrimination laws that are out there. Talk to them about insurance, sick days, vacation days, paid time off, all of that stuff. And I know for some parents this is really, really hard because they don't view themselves as a like company, and which they're not. And I acknowledge it, and I'm sure most providers acknowledge that. However, this is our professional field. Most people, I can't speak for me because I'm getting a business major, not an early education major, but most people in the field are actually educated on taking care of children, their development, their education, and it needs to be treated like a professional field because right now, like, it's not. And so, yes, I highly encourage all of you guys to have that conversation with your employer, especially if you're making that $2,200 or more in a year. You need to talk about taxes. You need to make sure you are protected as an employee because there's laws out there to protect you. You need to make sure you use them. You never know when discrimination is going to happen or anything like that. So, I just kind of wanted to do this as like a crash course kind of thing. We can talk a little bit more in depth later on about like taxes and having that conversation about like discrimination because I definitely know there are like nannies of colors out there who have been discriminated against and they could have sued. They could have taken some sort of action to prevent that. And so, yeah, we're going to kind of dive into every little thing in little separate videos. So, yeah, I guess that's everything, you guys. I don't want to keep you for too long, but if you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Please do your research. The best websites you can use are usually like .orgs, .edu, .gov websites. I was gonna say the one of the labor acts is a .org, not .org, .gov website. And it talks about like fair employment and stuff like that. So you really need to check all of that stuff out and then have a really hard conversation with your employer about all of that stuff. So, anyways, I'll let you guys go. I hope you guys have an amazing weekend and I'll see you guys later. Bye.